Episode 169 of the Wilderness Podcast is brought to you by our amazing supporters. If you want to support the show, you can go to patreon.com/thewildernesspodcast. So I want to thank Green Paper for joining the Patreon this week. Our supporter of the week is Fraser Devaney. So thank you so much for supporting the show. It truly means a lot, and I don't know. I can't thank you. Can't thank you enough. I can't thank our past, present, and future supporters as well. Sorry, I can thank them. I just can't thank them enough. But hey, if Patreon's not your fancy, that's totally fine. We got another site set up called buymeacoffee.com/dills. You can do a one-time payment, or you can aka buy me a coffee. So thank you, Timbuktu25, Dr. Feelgood, or also known as Mistborn, and No Name Plug for keeping me caffeinated this week. All right, let's get into the show. And a quick heads up, we got sidetracked and started talking about signatures and my speech impediment that I had when I was a child. So if you want to get straight to the RuneScape content, you could probably fast forward the first 3 minutes or so. Anyways, let's get into it. Welcome to episode 169 of the Wilderness Podcast. I am your host, Dills, and joining with me today is Heartless.
Hey, Dills, how's it going?
It's going good. It's funny, whenever I edit the podcast at the beginning, I wonder if anyone else noticed it, but I say I am your host, Dills, but I say it and it sounds like I am yo host, Dills. And it's always so strange when I'm editing. I'm like, how did I not pick that up when I said it? But it's because when I grew up, I used to have I guess I still kind of do. I had a speech impediment. I had trouble saying my R's. So when I would say fire, I would say fire. And yeah, and I used to have a speech coach and everything. And then one time, so I'd go see him every Tuesday, and we do these he'd give me this homework where I'd have to just say words that have the letter R in it. And I would have to get my mom to sign it, but I hated doing the assignment, so my mom wouldn't sign it because I never did it. And then I would forge her signature, and he...
Oh, Dills.
Oh, he knew, so my mom's name was Kate, and one time she put K8, not as a signature, but she just did that for whatever, and I thought that was a signature, so when I signed it, I put K8, and the guy was like, that's not her signature, and I was like, yes, it is. And he's like, no, it's... No, I got in so much trouble.
Dills. I bet you did.
It didn't work out.
I think I only forged maybe once or twice in high school.
Oh, yeah? Do you remember what it was for?
No, but I wasn't one to skip school, so it must have been pretty important if I did it.
Oh, I gotcha.
Probably something to do with a girl.
Yeah, that's...
I'm sure without any doubt that's what it was.
Growing up, it's a strange time, isn't it?
It is for sure. But my parents' signatures were not hard to forge, so...
No?
No.
Do you have a complicated signature?
No, mine is just a it's my first name's Nathan, so it's an N with my last name starts with a W, so it's just a long W with a bunch of squiggles.
Oh, nice.
It's really not complicated, but
I always wish I had a fancy signature. My signature sucks, but I've been doing it. I'm 28 years old, so I've been doing it so long now that I can't change it, and I'm just stuck with a shitty signature. So if this podcasting blows up and I become super famous and I have to start doing autographs, they're gonna be terrible autographs.
That's funny. I actually I taught the grade 4s in my class how to do signatures this year because we've been signing cards and all sorts for people. So I got to be their first sort of welcome to the signature world. It was pretty fun. So I have a few friends that have very interesting signatures, so I tried to copy those down. So I had a few examples of styles that they could do. And I just called each one of them to my desk while they were silent reading over the course of a few days. And I just showed them the different signatures, showed them mine, asked them which one they like the look of. And then I said, you can really just make it anything you want, as long as it reflects you somehow and that you can make it consistent. And some of them came up with some really cool stuff. So yeah, I was pretty proud of that one.
Do you teach them to do little swirls and the squiggles and anything like that?
No, but I actually have a friend, and I'll never forget her signature. In grade 4 or 5, she just had beautiful handwriting. And she would write her first name, which was Paris, right across the page, and then she would write her last name in also in handwriting right across the top of her first name. I just thought it looked amazing. Yeah, so it very complicated. So anyways, I showed the kids that style, and a few of them really liked it. So, and I showed them, they would just laugh at mine that it's like an N with a bunch of squiggles. But I was like, you know what? You guys know I'm terrible at writing. That's definitely the hardest part of being a teacher for me. My writing is poor on a good day. You have to be really careful.
See, maybe that's where it all went wrong for me. Maybe my my teacher, when they were teaching me signatures, they just kept it straight and simple. No swirls, no squiggles, nothing fun. So then I grew up with a boring signature. So here we are.
Did I ever tell you the story of when I was teaching kindergarten and they just couldn't understand what I was writing on the board?
No.
So I was teaching kindergarten for a week because the teacher was sick back when I was a sub, and I knew the kids pretty well, and we were doing a letter a day. So it was our first day doing this letter project, and you don't start with the way you teach alphabet is not like you don't do it like ABC. You start with more common ones. So we were doing like the letter P for this day, and it's supposed to be like a stick, and then you put the half circle at the top of the P. But what I do is I just do a line that it's kind of one line instead of two separate parts, and it doesn't have the little stick that comes out the top, if that makes sense. You know, like on R's and stuff like that. I wrote this P, and they were just like, "What is that?" I was like, "It's the letter P." They're like, "No, it's not."
I'm really struggling to visualize it, but maybe I'm the children in this case where I don't understand.
you're the children. It's the same like where you write R's as well. You write a stick, and then you put the little cap on the top of it. You know what I mean? So that there's a little piece sticking up. It's not just like a curved line. That's how you're supposed to write the letter R.
Well, hearing you explain, I'm worried if I would be able to pick up on a cursive P. I haven't written cursive, and I don't even know.
This wasn't cursive. This was just printing.
Oh.
Yeah, this was my printing.
So we're not even at cursive levels yet.
No, you don't learn cursive until at least grade 3, and then like it's not really as important as it used to be. We teach more like computer typing skills is a little bit more important.
I gotcha.
I mean, it's cool. It's good to know cursive, but not all kids. I'd say the majority of them will just go back to printing as soon as they can. So.
Yeah, I don't know how to. I lost all that skills, but
good times. We're way off topic here.
We're 5 minutes into the show and we haven't even mentioned RuneScape yet. So let's get into what we're going to be talking about this episode, and it's cursive writing apparently. No, we got some fun stuff going on. I mean, first things first, Jagex has to revisit some of the rules to clarify what is and what isn't against the rules. No idea what sparked this, but we'll get to that in a second. Well, not in a second, but at some point in the show, when we get to the news, we'll talk about that. And of course, what some people are calling Summertodt, maybe Fishing Todd, or the conventional name Tempoross has been released. And it is a, well, you know what, let's talk about it. We'll hold our review until we get to it, but it's popping off in the Tempoross worlds right now. And of course, we're running up on April, so the Easter event is underway. And so that there we go with old school RuneScape. I think I mentioned last week at the beginning of the show about RuneScape 3 players being locked out of the game. And RuneScape 3, they're releasing a new boss of some sorts. People are upset by this, so they've pushed off from releasing the boss, and now they are compensating a lot of RuneScape 3 players. And I know some people in the clan chat had been compensated with membership. So if you had been logged into RuneScape 3 for, I don't know, even for like 10 minutes in the past month, you might have gotten some new membership. But they're also going to be getting some actual physical rewards in RuneScape 3. They're giving them some resources to make up for the experience they might have missed out on. It's an interesting way about doing it. Some people are pissed, some people are happy, some people don't care at all. Yeah, so that's happened. But let's get into what we've been up to this week. Heartless, what's going on your end?
On my end, no, actually not really that much. So usually I come in with all these huge drops, but not this week. So last week I got the Bandos Hill, so I started a corp.
Nice.
I was doing some testing and trying to get like the right setup for it. I ended up going with I was watching a bunch of streamers that have been doing corp, and I figured out what I needed. I have pretty much the max setup I need. I don't have an Infernal Cape. That's almost about it.
What are you missing?
The Callisto ring would be quite good.
Okay.
Yeah, for just to get the crush bonus, but it's only a few percent, so it's not the end of the world. Kills were about 14 minutes, so you could get 4 per hour, which was a little quicker than I expected. I thought it was going to be 3 per hour. That was quite nice. I ended up doing 50 kills, but on my third KC, I was streaming to a bunch of people in the CC, and I got the Jar of Spirits.
Oh,
which
interesting.
So that goes in your house. It's pretty hilarious, since I'm pretty sure it just came out the day that I started Corp, or maybe the day before. It was
true.
That week,
that is a new one, isn't it?
We had just talked about it on the podcast, and I immediately went to do some Corp, and I got the jar.
Actually, I remember that because I think we just finished recording, and then you got the jar, and I was like, "Oh my god, that's funny."
Yep, it was pretty fun. So I had a goal of doing 50 Corp, and then sort of seeing where I'd go from there, because it is a slow boss.
Yeah.
And I honestly really really liked it. It's slow, of course, and the drops are like not the greatest, and I know the sigils are rare and stuff like that, but it's very relaxing. Like, you really don't have to pay too much attention, especially after doing like, probably over 100 hours at God Wars Dungeon. It's just a completely different ball game to just tele to your house, spec it down, tele to your house, and then just stab it down with a Zamorakian spear. It's super easy.
I mean, once you do all your specs, it's very AFK for the most part, because you're not taking any damage.
The little purple spawn comes out, and if you're standing on him, he'll kill you. But there's actually a way to make him just disappear forever. You basically just hit him with smack him with the BGS when he's under you, and then run towards the door. And then as he jumps, he'll die during the animation, and then he'll never respawn.
Is that worth doing?
Oh, absolutely, because then you can just sit there for like 2 minutes and just alt tab, basically.
Nice.
As long as you keep your prayer up, you're really at no risk to die. He very rarely, he still can hit super high, like 40s, but he's extremely inaccurate. So, you may only need to eat 1 or 2 food per kill.
Okay.
I also forgot to mention last week, how we talked about like Iron Man corp boosting and how I have like friends that have alts. I forgot to mention that the Iron Man corp beast zone is actually instanced from mains, so you can't do it with a main account. This is just only Irons can access that account or that area of the world. So in order to corp boost, you actually need to do it with another Iron Man, and that's what they were patching last week.
All right, that's fair then.
Forgot to mention that because I feel like that's a big thing to talk about. So yeah, corp was good. I ended up getting a spirit shield on like something KC.
So that's nice. Is that a big deal?
It's cool for fashion, but yeah, you need that, and then it's actually quite a weak shield, and then you attach a holy elixir to give it the prayer bonus and like double its defensive stats, and then it's serviceable at that. It's still worse than a crystal shield though for the most part.
Interesting.
And then after that, you attach a sigil to it. So I'm thinking I'm gonna go back to corp soon, not right away. I had some other goals, skilling goals first, and then I might go back to get an elixir. But I'm not going to grind for a sigil. It's just kind of be a passive boss that I'll do once in a while.
Yeah, I think you'll go crazy if you go hunting for it, right?
Exactly, yeah. And like I've already talked about multiple times, they're not like the greatest, most useful things in the world. They're just kind of cool to have. So
yeah.
It'd be nice to have one at some point, and I'll definitely go for it, but we'll just do it over time.
Not bad.
That's pretty much been my week. I did a bit of skilling, bunch of Tempoross, which we'll get to talk about, and then I did some chambers and theater, but no items, so nothing too crazy. What about you? What have you been up to?
Oh, what have I? You know what? I'm kind of in the same boat as you. A quick update on that. I mentioned a virtual survivor thing I got invited to.
Oh yeah.
I can't remember. I think I brought it up because I felt like a scam, and it's still. I have no idea if a bunch of people put this together for fun, because I don't think it's streamed. I don't think there's any YouTube videos that they like produce out of this or any. I don't get, and they have a production team. There's like 6-7 people who work on this in this Discord server, but I don't think I don't know the point of it. Maybe it's just for fun, but normally these things have like we'll
say there's only a handful of people in the Discord server.
Well, at first, and then they invited me to the new season Discord, which is it's like Survivor pirate themed or whatever. And there's more people there, and there's different teams, and it seems legit. I just don't understand the point of it. And I totally get if people just want to do something for fun and they don't have a direct point for it. But normally this stuff will either be streamed or there's something that goes along with it so that you can make some content out of it. Otherwise, this season happens and then it just dies and nothing happens because of it. So I'm trying to figure out what the point of it is. And it does seem like it seems pretty straightforward. It's not like super sketchy or anything, but it is kind of strange. Like when I look at the people in the list of who have joined, it's a lot of, they look like normal people. They look like a lot of non-gamers, which is interesting because Discord has blown up so much that you have tons of people who use it who don't even play video games anymore. At this point, one of the people who run it is like his name is like God of Penises, and that
that's a little sketchy.
doesn't that like shoot off some like red flags or something when you have someone that has a name like that?
There's red flags going off all over the place, but it'd be worth monitoring for the podcast, of course.
That's it. I'm going to try it out. And they keep asking me, like, who is your favorite Survivor contestant? What was your favorite Survivor? And I've said it so many times. I'm like, I haven't seen Survivor since like season 3 or season 4, whenever it first came out. I watched Big Brother Canada, but like, that's it. And they're like, okay, yeah, no problem. You'll do fine. And I'm trying to figure out what's up with this. But the God of Penises, the guy who's part of the production team, is definitely triggering some red flags for me because he says they have a channel that's it's called the Host Shitposting channel. And it's no one else can talk in it except for like the production crew. And they say some really strange things that I'm like, I am starting to question the people running this thing. But we're gonna figure out what it's all about.
Yeah, I'm curious to see where this leads.
It is very interesting. So that's the update there. It's starting on April 5th. So we'll see what happens. Yeah. So as far as RuneScape goes, I actually don't think I've played a whole lot this week. I got 95 rune crafting, which is pretty sweet. It's hard to get excited for it because you still have like 1 mil experience. I know
it's so far to go.
You're like, oh my god, a couple months and I'll be one more level closer. Anyways, still doing that. I decided to switch it up and do some some Wilderness Slayer, just because I haven't really done it a whole lot, and because I'm doing some of the Slayer boss or the Wilderness bosses, I figured why not? Let's see what happens. So I've been doing that, and it's fun. It's a nice change of pace. I guess it's since I'm already level 99 Slayer, I do get a lot of tasks that kind of pointless, but I was blowing through my Slayer points because I just skip tasks when I get bored of them. If I do an Abbey Sire and then I don't feel like doing the Abyssal Demons, I'll do like 50 kills for the Sire and then I'll just skip it whenever I get bored. But it's causing me to kind of blow through my points, and I noticed I was dropping just under 1,000 points, and I always like to have a nice surplus of points just in case Magpie's mentioned that he's been doing this Inferno grind, so he's constantly skipping tasks till he can get it. But he's doing Turiel, like the very beginner Slayer master. I don't ever want to get to the point where I'm having to skip my Slayer tasks from it.
That's very common. Like, I'm almost out of points too, and I'm like retooling my block list, which is strange as well. But it feels like almost everyone that's late game, like close to 99 Slayer, has 0 points and has to Turiel skip. Which, if you guys don't know what Turiel skipping is, basically you reset your task streak. You get a task from a Slayer Master. If it's not the one you want, you go to Turiel and he'll give you an easy task. You do the easy task, then you get a task from the Slayer Master that you want one from. So if it's Duradel and you don't get the one you want, then you go do another Turiel. So it's like back and forth. And you keep resetting your task streak. So you get 0 point gain, but at least it's quick to get the task you want, in theory. That's the only thing I don't like about Slayer is Turiel skipping late game.
Is your count at that point?
Basically, yeah. So there's only like a few things that I need from Slayer. Like now with Tempoross, I'm gonna do worms as well for a Dragon Harpoon. But there's like maybe 5-6 tasks that I would do plus bosses.
Okay.
So it's weird. Like I don't really want to just go for XP because I only have 3 levels left. So I may as well just take my time and get those levels passively through bossing.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I'm in a bit of a strange spot, but I think I'm gonna end up having to tutorial skip for sure.
Yes, yeah, I don't want to have to get to that point. So and so what people will do, there's all these different strategies to like maximize your point gain, because what is it, every 10th task you get a big boost in points.
Mm-hmm.
So people will move to like Konar. I think that's the move, right? You move to Konar for your 10th task.
Every 10th task at Konar.
I don't ever want to get to the Turiel, the point where I'm skipping with Turiel, because I like my task count. I don't want to reset it. I don't know what
are you at now? Yeah.
Oh, I have no idea, but it's gotta be like, is 300 a lot?
No, I have over 500. So it's
I
got to be more than
then.
me because I'm only 96 Slayer.
I'd have to check things. I actually have no idea.
You're probably in the 600s for sure.
Yeah. Okay. So that's.
But yeah, Wildy Slayer is a great way to get a lot of points, especially if you have your block list tooled for Wildy Slayer to skip like Ents and super slow tasks like that.
Yeah, that's smart. And like the main reason I did it was one for the points. It's kind of fun filling out the collection log. So getting the Laren's keys, which is something they've added, which allows you to get the Dagon's. What's it? Dagon's High, I think it's called.
Dagon Eye, yeah.
Dagon Eye. So it's like a set of robes, like mage robes that you can get from a chest. So I figured, you know what, I'll do some of the, I'll fill out the collection log a little bit. Maybe I'll do some crazed archaeologist, all those demi bosses that I normally wouldn't touch. It's fun. It's different than what I'm used to. So yeah, I'm kind of bouncing around with Wildy Slayer, but not much is going on there. I did have this big. So as I was kind of getting close to, once I went underneath 1,000 points, and the reason I was like, oh, I want to be above 1,000 at all times, because that's how much a Slayer helmet recolor costs. So I want to be able to always buy a recolor if I'd like to.
Right.
But I as I was leveling up, I increased a lot of my task numbers, because you can pay points to extend tasks, and I did that for a lot of different tasks. And I had to go ahead and cancel all those, and it was really hard to do because I was like, oh man, this is like 2,000 points worth of tasks that I have extended that I now have to turn off, and you just lose it.
Stuff like Necrils and Dust Devils, things like that. Is that what you mean?
I went and I turned all of them off, because I did have I probably had Dust Devils, I probably had Skeletal Wyverns, I had everything. I had them all extended because when you're wanting experience and stuff, sometimes it's good to just
extend. Great. Yeah, Magic XP mid game is basically until you get 99 Magic, you want to burst all your tasks that you can, like some Necks and Dust Devils. But as soon as you hit 99 Magic and 95 Slayer, the XP doesn't matter because there's nothing really to work towards besides 99.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to get there passively anyways, because there's usually a lot of bossing to be done from 95 to 99. So I find people tend to that's when you start to chop and change your block list quite a lot, and it can be very costly on points if you're going for like specifically Hydra tasks or Zup, stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. And if you're like me and you have them all of them extended from when you were leveling, you're going to want to turn them off, because one, it's going to be slower points, and two, once you're at level 99, you're going to get kind of like 120 boss kills of whatever. That's fine. I don't need to kill 200 of whatever task. I get bored by then.
That's the whole point. You don't want like a 30-hour boss task. That's way too much.
Yeah, you don't want to commit to something like that, because at least for me, I'm like, I want to bounce between a bunch of things, because sometimes I do feel like doing Sire, but after 20 kills, you're like, that's it for the next couple of days. I'm going to go do something else. And it's one thing to come revisit that boss every couple of days to knock off some more kills, but it sucks if you have like 240 kills to do. You're like, yeah, like screw this. This is going to take me all month, and I'm going to hate it. I can't do any other bosses until then. Like you can, but you can't do any other Slayer bosses. Anyway, so I had to go ahead and do that. And yeah, that's basically where my account has been at. So yeah, not a whole lot of gains going there. I guess I haven't played a whole lot of RuneScape this week. I have, but I haven't. So
that's fair.
Yeah. Anyways, we do have a quite a cool update that came out this week. So I think what do you think? Should we just jump right into it?
Yeah, let's dive right in.
All right. Well, that was a bit of a lie. Let's tackle the first dev blog that they dropped on us. It's a quick one, but they had to release a rules clarification in regards to account services. Quick thing they say is, a lot of old school's charm and appeal comes from just how impactful in-game achievements are. We know you're extremely proud of your accomplishments, and we want to keep it that way. You work hard for your 99s, and that should not be undermined. And we want to offer some clarity and concerns you have about player actions that undermine those achievements. So this is about... what they're talking about is this following rule. So providing or purchasing account services, including, but not limited to, things like paying someone to increase your account's experience or complete quests or activities on your behalf are a form of real-world trading and therefore prohibited. Yeah,
for those of you that aren't aware, there's like basically a Discord, a huge Discord, where you can just pay someone to, let's say, get you 70 agility or get you, I don't know, like a Dragon Warhammer on an Iron Man or something like that, right? You can pay account services to do stuff on your account, which to me seems stupid because that's like the whole point of playing the game.
Yep.
But there is a lot of people that will pay for things to do things that they don't want to do in game, and they're trying to. I don't know why it wasn't clear already. It seems like this should have happened a long time ago, but it's nice that at least they're stepping up.
It's very strange that like this, it's kind of a no-brainer. I'm actually in one of these Discords. I had to do some research for the podcast. So I want to ask, you mentioned the Dragon Warhammer. How much do you think getting a Dragon Warhammer would cost? Now, the Discord server that I'm in, it's not for real-world money, and it's only for in-game money. So, like, if you wanted to buy any item, you had to pay, like, X amount of million from your actual gold stack. What do you think a Dragon Warhammer is going for?
So I'm just kind of shooting in the dark here. The only thing I'm working from is, I know you can buy Infernal Capes. It's kind of like a touchy subject. It's not gray areas that we're getting into on the pod. You can buy capes. I don't actually know what they cost, but like I think like $600 or something sounds right. Maybe Magpies would know a little better. Maybe it's several hundred at least, I would say.
If you have 70 plus defense and you have a twisted bow, it's 280 mil.
Okay, so whatever that price would be in money. So let's say that's 200. That's like $300 or something.
Probably, yeah.
It's probably less than that, but let's say it's between $200 and $600 depending on your account. Dragon Warhammer is probably in that realm as well because it's a lot harder than getting the people that sell Infernal Capes, like Inferno is not difficult for them. They just breeze through it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not an hour-long job to get a Dragon Warhammer. It's like a potentially, 100-hour grind. I think mine took 75 hours.
Wow.
Basically 100. Imagine it's on average 50 hours to get it. So whatever 50 hours of someone's time is worth, which is quite a lot of money.
Yeah.
You could be probably spending upwards of like $1 billion in game to get a Dragon Warhammer if someone was doing that for you. But that was also probably one of the most excited I've ever been for a job. So I don't know why an Iron Man would want to get rid of that feeling. Maybe to get the 75 hours back. I'm not sure. But it seems like what's the point of playing the mode if you just are going to pay for things? You may as well just be a main and go get on the GE.
I am trying to find where the Dragon Warhammer is. Where was it?
Anyways, it's dicey that like it's so easily accessible, all of this stuff. And I'm pretty sure like some mods are in these clans. Like they're fully aware of what's going on.
Yeah, and it's tricky because we see the problem with a lot of gold farmers is that they can't just outright ban, because you can look at an account and you can say 90% chance this, like 99% chance this is a gold farmer. Either that or they just love killing Vorkath and they're only playing RuneScape to kill Vorkath. like no one's we can safely say like almost no one's doing that. But Jagex can't ban them until they actually do some real world trading, because it's like, what if there is somebody who really enjoys Vorkath and only makes accounts to play Vorkath? There's that I'm blanking on his name, but he just makes accounts to get 200 million agility, which
that's crazy. So yeah. I think the real problem with account services and the reason it's not going to go away is because anyone remotely that's doing anything shady doesn't play on a static IP. They have a VPN. So it's impossible for them to ban you through that. And I think they're fully aware. They're obviously fully aware of this. So it's kind of, they turn a blind eye to this sort of thing because it's so difficult to enforce. It's not difficult to enforce. Like, for example, people would be like, oh, but what about Infernal Capes? Well, that's a little different. You know, if you've never done any serious PVM on your account and then all of a sudden you turn up with like, you know, a 70-minute PB at the Inferno, it looks super sketchy. But someone playing from multiple IPs getting like some service done, it's like impossible to ban you for it.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So it's I'm glad they're doing this, and I think it's good that it's front and center, like do not violate these rules. But there's always going to be people that try to cut corners in all walks of life, and you know, it's impossible to deal with them at all times. But I feel like it's also just don't compare yourself to those people. Like, just play the game for why you love it. You know, you don't need to spend money on it to do things you don't like.
It's like the paradox for like the RuneScape player, because like you shouldn't, like the whole point, like it's about your journey. You don't need to compare yourself to others. Worry about how your journey in the game is. That's what makes RuneScape so unique to other MMOs. But that being said, the whole point of so many achievements is to be like, look what I have. Look exactly. What I have, and look what you don't have.
It's a tough one.
Yeah.
Either way, I'm glad they came out with this kind of statement. I'm so surprised they didn't do it a long time ago.
Yeah, it seems a little. As we've been talking, I've been trying to find how much a Dragon Warhammer costs from this Discord. They must have taken it off. So, anyways, we're gonna move past that. So I don't know if something happened recently that caused Jagex to put this out. It seemed very random to me. I get it that they are. It makes sense for this dev blog, but also, yeah, like a lot of people are going to look at this and be like, oh yeah, of course, I kind of knew this. I can't, if I pay Heartless, if I pay you to beat quests for me and I give you $10 per quest, it's a form of real world trading.
It's very common sense.
Yeah, definitely.
For sure.
Now, this is the problem though. Where does the line get drawn, right? If I were to say, hey, everyone who joined our Patreon, we're going to do a giveaway, and one of you are going to get randomly selected. We're going to give you 10 mil, right? Technically, that falls in this category. That's a form of real world trading. People on Patreon are paying some money because they enjoy the show.
That's not for a service, though.
I know, but like
that's different.
What I'm curious is like with the whole real world trading part. Like, I know this conversation had come up before when with they talked about this some odd years ago. But let's say I'll say I'm a Twitch streamer and I decide to do, hey, I'm going to do a drop party only for my Twitch subscribers. Like technically, could that be considered real world trading? Because the people on Twitch, they're paying money to the Twitch streamer to view their stream, but now they're getting some in-game reward from it.
Yeah, that's like kind of gray area for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's still not the same though, because this is more like about account sharing.
Yeah. This specifically.
But you're right. There's a lot of gray areas for sure.
And because RuneScape is very sandboxy, because we have so many content creators, if you ever watch any of the big PvP YouTubers, a lot of the time when you're watching them, you'll see them using other people's accounts. Mm-hmm. Now, if that person compensates the owner of that account being like, hey, you let me play your really cool pure account. You spent this time, you made a pure account, you let this YouTuber use it. YouTuber makes a video, he makes money off the views from the YouTube video. If he compensates the guy who lent him the account, again, right, that would fall into this, or would it fall into this category? It's not, is he really offering
this is more gray area, because that is account sharing.
Yeah, exactly. And there's, money being exchanged. Anyways, this is a very
tough subject to tackle. And
I'm sure
I think starting with a statement is the first way to do it.
It makes sense, but also, where does the line get drawn, or is it just a hard any terms of exchanging real life money?
I don't think it's possible to stop this kind of thing, but the best way to stop it is to deter people from wanting to do it. By making the rules clear and, theoretical punishments clear.
Yeah, and then if someone gets banned, they go to the subreddit, oh, I got wrongfully banned, point them to this thread, they'd be like, well, my story's different, but I mean, the point is, you're like, no, you got banned, and here's all the reasons why. So they did some clarifications there, but we can move on from that. Because I'm sure this is they even said it here when it comes to any form of cheating, whether it's botting or these sort of account services for real money. It's kind of an arms race. Jagex is constantly trying to get rid of this issue, but it keeps popping up. And it will keep popping up. I guess there's not much you can do. Yeah. You know what? I've even seen people mentioning, and this is in terms to the gold selling issue that we have, because a lot of items have been crashing and all that stuff. Like you look at, I guess even the Dragon Warhammer, it's like under 40 mil these days. Probably much less.
It's 37 mil.
Yeah. Oh, 37 mil. But there are a bunch of items that have crashed a bunch because they're being heavily farmed. I'm kind of drawing a blank where I was going with that.
It's all good. Yeah, the economy stuff is a little bit over me. I don't pay attention to the G much,
of course,
but I do notice my certain items dropping in value from what I remember them being. Like I remember getting a skeletal visage.
Yeah, okay.
From Vorkath, and it was like 33 mil when I got it. This was like a year and a half ago, and now it's 15 mil.
Wow. Okay. True. To circle back, I remember what I was bringing that up for, because I've seen some people saying, well, the only way you can really prevent this from happening is by removing the free trade. And
I feel like
know what?
True.
Yeah, there's probably other ways, but I mean, if you wanted to just get rid of them,
I think a simple fix would be to add a tax to the GE.
Yeah, that's another one, but that's still not going to stop gold farmers per se.
No, it's not. But it'll hopefully stop inflation, like all the items dropping off a cliff. But I mean, I'm not an economist, so I can't really help in this department. But yeah, I know it sucks for people to have all their items dropping.
I was surprised that when people mentioned if you remove free trade, that's one way to get rid of it. I was surprised to see it not receive as much backlash as I expected. Not saying that if they pulled it, it would pass. It would probably still fail extremely hard, but it's interesting to see the shift where they're like, hey, well, what if they remove free trade, but then they let us lend items? That would fix the problem. And people are like, yeah, it would. Anyways, we can move on though, because I think it's going to be a never ending issue. And I don't think Jagex will remove free trade because, well, that's a whole other issue there.
Yeah. OSR's recession confirmed.
Yeah. It's 2021, baby. All right, let's move to the fun stuff though. Jagex released a new skilling boss called the Tempoross. It's a fishing skilling boss, and it is receiving a lot of praise. People seem to be really enjoying it. And I know you and I, Heartless, have both tackled it a little bit. At least myself, I've got like 20 kills down. And I know you've been doing it as well. So
yeah, I've done a bunch.
Perfect. So let's talk about what the Tempoross is. It is, so to get to the Tempoross, first off, there's a boat at Al-Kharad, brings you to, what is it called? It brings you to a spot.
Al-Kharad. Is that how you pronounce it, Dills?
How do you spell
Al-Kharid.
Al-Kharad. It's tomato.
Tell that to all the listeners in the chat. I'm sure they'll have called you out for it.
Oh, there's probably like, if you really wanted to, because it's really like,
that's a free-to-play classic world. When we were all 10 years old, we loved Al-Kharid.
I know. There's a lot of things in this game that when I like look at it, and I'm like, you look at the theme of it, right? Like Al-Kharad is kind of like, I don't know, would you say it's like Middle Eastern themed?
Oh, 100%.
Right? It's, if we want to generalize an area in the world, like Middle Eastern. And so, but you look at a lot of like the pronunciation, if you really wanted to, I doubt somebody with a Middle Eastern background would say, no, you don't pronounce an Al-Kharid. It'd be like, there's a different way to pronounce it when you have those letters. I'm not going to do it because it's probably going to be offensive, but
yeah, for sure appropriation, but it's a little sketchy for sure.
Karamja's the same thing. I'm like, I don't think that's how it would be pronounced.
Yeah, there are also some things on Karamja that are a little dicey.
Oh yeah, even the desert area.
The whole idea of like the indigenous people in Karamja is a little sketch, but it's all
good. Yeah, that's a whole nother can of worms. The desert's the same thing. There's a few things there that you're like, huh.
There's a few things we definitely gloss over in this game for sure.
RuneScape 3 had to even go and they renamed a bunch of characters because you can't. It seems odd from the outside that a bunch of characters are named Ali or last name Ali. You realize that they're all related somehow, but still. Anywho, whatever. Point is, Tempoross takes place in the desert. It's in this new area that I'm blanking on the name of it.
It's sort of south of the Al-Kharid Bank.
Ruins of Unka.
Yeah.
Or Unka. So that's what it's called. So you can take a boat there, and it's a little town of these spirit anglers. And the quick lore about it is there's this water entity that is now like attacking boats, and it's disrupting some of the fisheries and all that stuff. Then yourself with the spirit anglers go to subdue this creature. I guess for a quick overview of the actual minigame. So there's two boats that you arrive on the small little island, and there's going to be some areas that you can fish. All you need is a harpoon, some buckets, a hammer, a rope. You can pick all this stuff up while you're doing this skilling boss. There's little boxes you can pick all this stuff up. But you'll fish these harpoon fish from these little fishing spots. And what you can do is you can cook them for additional points. This is very similar to Wintertodt. There's a lot of similarities to Wintertodt. So just like in Wintertodt, where you can fletch the logs to get additional points, you can do the same thing here by cooking the fish. So you cook the fish, and then you load the fish into a cannon. The cannon shoots the fish, and it damages the Tempoross boss. It has like a shield that you damage with the fish. If you cook it, you'll do a little bit more damage, but it's still slower actual damage overall because you have to stop to actually cook it. Once you take down the shield on the Tempoross, you can run down to the dock, and you'll see a whirlpool that you can now fish into. And when you do fish into it, you'll damage the Tempoross, and eventually the shield recharges. And once it recharges, Tempoross pops back up. You have to go load up the cannons with more fish to shoot it down. While you're fishing the harpoon fish, the ammo you're going to need to damage the Tempoross, every now and then a giant wave is going to come. Your screen's going to have this filter overlay of water. So what you need to do is tie yourself to either one of the totems on the shore or tie yourself to the mast on the boat to avoid getting hit by the wave. If you get hit by the wave, you're going to lose some of your resources. You're going to lose a chunk of fish that you have in your inventory. You'll lose maybe your rope. You'll lose maybe your hammer, and you're going to lose some buckets. So while this is going on, you'll have these storm clouds that are kind of just moving around randomly above you. And they'll focus on an area. They'll shoot some lightning down. It'll set a fire. What you're going to want to do is put out that fire with your bucket of water, because anytime you run through that fire, it's going to eat up a bunch of your fish. A pro tip, though, if the fire's kind of off to the side, you can just leave it. And when the wave comes that you tie yourself to the mast or the totem, it'll put out the fire as well. So in a nutshell, that's the event. You do that over and over until you lower the shield, you hurt the Tempoross, and eventually you do that enough times and the Tempoross dies.
It's quite straightforward. It takes you a couple games to get used to it, I would say.
Yeah, there's a few weird things where learning where to tie yourself up so you don't get knocked by the waves to lose all your stuff. If you're doing it on a populated world, like the Tempoross worlds, right now it's so busy, but you're going to struggle. If you're learning this, you're going to struggle to get the points required because you need 2,000 points to get your reward. After 2,000 points, every 700 points, you get one more reward. But you can actually even solo this.
Yeah, there are so many different strategies for the boss.
Now, the thing that you're going to struggle with when you're soloing it is if you're not able to take down the Tempoross's shield quick enough, as the Tempoross is up, a storm, you'll see this little meter of a storm building up. Once the storm reaches the full like 100%, that's essentially you failing the boss, and you get kicked out of the area, and you have to do it over again.
Yeah, it's not really going to happen though for the most part.
The only time it happens is if you're like trying to solo it, or you're doing it in a small group.
Soloing or duo, you can get overwhelmed, but on the mass worlds, you're never going to lose to the storm.
Yeah, exactly. The mass worlds, you're going to struggle for the points. You're not going to struggle to actually kill it.
I have to say, for those who haven't tried this, huge praise to Jagex for me. I think this is a great update. I thought it was going to be like basically just Summertodt, and though it's designed like Summertodt, it's so much more fun. It doesn't have those annoying elements of Summertodt have been removed. One of them being the cold seeps into your bones and it stops all your actions. There's nothing like that. The closest thing to that is that your fishing spot will move, and like it's not that big of a deal. This is a lot more engaging. It's not stressful like Summertodt, where at any point you could just stop and be losing points. There's a very clear sort of systematic way that you kill the Tempoross. Like usually on the mass worlds, it's in 2 downs, but there's like different kind of strategies that are coming out right now where you can, get more points if you make the game just go a little bit longer. There's a lot to it, and it's very fun. And there's also options, like you can go for max fishing XP or you can go for max point rolls. Just overall, it's a fantastic update.
Yeah, that's the great thing is like you can. There's different strategies for it, and I'm sure it's going to come to a point where like maybe if you want to. Let's say you're grinding, because there's a pet that comes with this. Let's say you're grinding out the pet. You might be able to join a group that is like, we're going to kill the Tempoross as fast as possible so that we can do it as many times as we want. Now, this is me assuming you get the pet from defeating the Tempoross, not from actually getting your reward.
You don't. You get it from the rolls. I actually have some numbers that from my testing if you want to hear them.
Okay, let's hear it.
I did 2 hours on the mass world just cooking the fish. So like as the game is supposed to be played, which makes you deal more damage to Tempoross, which means you get more points. So I was getting 45k experience per hour. Take these all with a grain of salt too. Like I wasn't perfect. I just learned it. 45k per hour.
Is that fishing or cooking?
That's fishing experience.
Okay.
Cooking, I didn't even check the cooking. Let's just say cooking is negligible.
Yeah.
So I was getting 45k fishing per hour, which is comparable to AFKing, slightly worse than it's kind of like the same as AFKing barb fishing.
Cool.
I think you can get up to 60k if you're paying attention to barb. So what else? And keep in mind, I'm also 86 or 87 fishing.
Mm-hmm.
And I was getting 5 rolls per game, 5 reward points, which means
wow.
5. The way you get the rewards at the end is it's not like a Summertodt crate where you get 1 roll. You actually just dip a net into the ocean. It's really cool. And then you pull out the rewards from the ocean. So each one is a roll. Each point is a roll. So I'm guessing the numbers haven't been released that like the pet is 1 in 5,000. Tome is 1 in 1,000. And then the rest are whatever. I don't really know what the rest would be, but that's my guess. It's probably similar to Summertodt. So 5 points per game, roughly.
Okay, and that's with cooking. If you want to focus on like, if you're doing this to train fishing, you'll probably skip over the cooking part of it, and you'll just fire off your fish.
Yeah, we can get to that. I did 2 hours of just straight fishing too. So that would be about, you can do 8 games per hour on the mass worlds. So something like 40 points an hour, which is not too bad. Then I did 2 hours of just fishing, no cooking at all. And I noticed a huge jump in XP. So I was getting above 70,000 per hour. And I think there are ways to optimize it to get even more than that. So a 25k difference there.
Wow. Okay.
And I was getting 3 rolls, sometimes 2 if I had a bad game. But let's say 3 rolls per game. It's significant. It's like 20 points per hour roughly. So it's a lot less than the sort of almost 40 points per hour that you can get with 5 rolls.
Gotcha. Okay.
Almost half the rewards, but you're getting a significant chunk more in experience. And the effort between the two, there's almost no difference.
Interesting. Okay, yeah, for sure.
And then I know Chick posted a video this morning. I only got to watch it briefly. but a guy in a solo, which takes about double the time, so it looked like 15 minutes or so, double the time to a master world, he got 14 points. So that's almost 60 points per hour, which is 20 points more than cooking on the mass world. So I think there's going to be ways to optimize it where you can get upwards of 50 plus points per hour. But of course, it depends whether you want roles at the pet, or you want roles, or you want to do it for experience and then get passive rewards. I probably would suggest to people, like, if you're trying to get fishing experience, probably don't cook, and then you just get some passive rewards on the side, because realistically, they did buff the fish and the rewards yesterday.
Right, yep.
So you don't get like shit rewards anymore, like 30 shrimp. Like the worst you're gonna get now is like raw tuna. But I noticed on my day 2, I was getting significantly better rewards. Like I've already banked like a couple hundred, raw sharks and raw sea turtles, which is really good food for me.
Yeah, no, that's great. Because I know a big complaint was, at least on release, that for Iron Men, if you wanted to grind out some food, Summertodt would still be better than Tempoross, which was really weird.
And that's no longer the case. I almost guarantee this is going to be meta for Iron Man going forward for fishing.
That's cool. It's very cool.
Disgusting fish. It's going to give you great cooking experience, which can be hard to get in the earlier game if you're not willing to do mess hall. So I think overall for irons, this is a really, really good activity. And for mains, I think it's really fun as well. Because there's the uniques that come along with it too, right? Like the fish barrel, and the upgraded angler's outfit. There's quite a lot of cool things that you can get from this.
Yeah, so let's get into that. So a quick mention though, when we were talking about how you can cook your harpoon fish to do more damage. If you are fishing with a crystallized crystal harpoon, you have a 33% chance of catching a crystallized harpoon fish, and these will deal more damage. I haven't actually seen it yet, but I want to. Hopefully it's 15.
It's more, yeah. So if you're going for max fishing XP, you want to use a crystal harpoon, right?
Right. Yeah. And they also give you 20% more fishing experience, so there would be no need to actually cook them. That being said, you do lose out on a bit of the points. But let's move on to the rewards.
But on the flip side of that too, if you use an infernal harpoon, it will cook 1/3 of the fish automatically. So you're just going to get more points per game. Remember, I don't have any kind of special harpoon. I was just using a regular harpoon.
Yeah, okay.
With my numbers. So you could well, even though you're going for, you could probably get different rates than me. Even if you're not cooking, you maybe even get an extra roll in there.
No, I didn't even think of the Inferno.
Experiment with it, dude. Smoldering stones for like 8 mil now.
Oh, are you kidding me?
They're so expensive. I remember when I got mine from Serb maybe like 6 months ago, they were like $1 mil each, and now they're like 8 mil. And I have a bunch of extras in my bank.
Oh, that's so lucky. Yeah, I don't know.
It was pretty funny. Like everyone's scrambling to get infernal harpoons.
That's funny. Damn, 8 mil. That's crazy. I remember when they were under like 800k or something. That's funny.
Yeah, I'm sure the meta's gonna settle it at Tempoross, but even for right now, it's fantastic.
Yeah, no, yeah, I gotcha.
I actually saw you there the other day. We were both on the Mass World.
Oh, really?
I was hoping we'd get in a game together, but we didn't.
That's the tricky part. If you want to play with friends, you got to go to a world that's a little bit more empty, because the Tempoross world is full. There's constantly 2,000 people in it, which is awesome to see. But it also means that you're going to be playing with a bunch of randoms if you're trying to play with friends. A little bit tricky, but yeah, let's move on to the rewards. Sorry, did you have something you want to say?
Yeah, no one chats. It's not like Summertodt where you're just sitting there. So no one uses public chat because everyone's kind of like doing their thing.
Yeah, I think everyone's focused on their points.
Toxic chatter is a lot less.
Yeah, which is nice. Nice breath of fresh air. But yeah, let's move on to the rewards, because you did mention how you receive the rewards, and I think this is a cool system to do it. Where with Summertodt, when you finish it, you just get a crate to open. And as much as we love opening loot crates in this game, I think doing it this way is very cool. So what they did instead was, when you get your rolls, I guess if you want to call it your item rolls, what happens is there's a whirlpool, a little fishing spot that gets kind of populated with fish, or I think you even see boxes when you have a chance at getting a crate, or when one of the rewards is a crate. Maybe I'm wrong there, but I know that one of the times my fishing spot didn't show fish and instead showed like crates and whatnot.
Interesting.
So once you're done, so this way you're not getting rewards every time you need to go bank. You could just go do Tempoross for like an hour, 2 hours, and then when you're done, you go and you fish from this fishing spot, and that's where you get your rewards. So, and they allow you to hold up to 8,000 rolls of loot in there. So you can really just save up a bunch of loot if you want. And this
huge opening, yeah.
Yeah, it works for even Ultimate Iron Men. So
great source of food, like noted food for Ultimate Iron Man before you get access to. Currently, the only real like good noted food that you can do is if you do minnows, you can trade them in for raw sharks, and they're noted.
Right.
So, and if you don't have that, Tempoross is accessible really early.
Yeah, that's cool. So it's definitely I can almost guarantee that for Ultimate Iron Man, this is going to be some new sort of method, and a cool thing as well is that this is just one more piece of content that's fleshing out the desert. Eventually, someone's going to make some desert-only Ultimate Iron Man, and this is going to be where they get their food. So maybe they're prepping for that. Who knows? All right, though. But what actual rewards can you get from it? Great question. So they have this new sort of currency, I guess you want to call it, or like a tokens. They're called Spirit Flakes, and you'll receive a big chunk. You have a chance of receiving them from the that fishing pool. Whenever I've done it, I get like at least 40 when I retrieve them out.
I think like average, it seems to be about 50 chunks if you roll Spirit Flakes.
Okay, yeah. So they are an untradeable resource that provides a 50% chance of catching an extra fish for no additional experience. This also stacks with Rada's Blessing, but they can also be used to kind of exchange for different rewards. So if you have the heron, is it heron?
Heron, yeah.
As I've gotten older, I think I've gotten dumber in the way I speak, which is problematic for podcasting. I was doing Chambers of Xeric with some people, and they had the fire pits for the ice demon, and I called it the brazier. And everyone started laughing, like, that's not called a brazier. And I was like, you know what? I've been saying that for years, and no one's ever called me out, and I thought that's how you said it. Turns out it's brazier.
Brazier.
I just never say brazier in real life, or brazier in real life. I only ever read it in RuneScape, apparently.
Yeah, it's a pretty old word, I guess. So
yeah, I don't know. So I'm like forgetting how to say stuff, which is terrible. But if you have the heron pet, you can recolor it for 3,000 Spirit Flakes, and it changes it to like a blue recolor. I think it looks great. The recolor. I think it looks really
great.
cool.
The blue heron for sure.
So it looks really cool, and you can also exchange 1,200 Spirit Flakes to recolor one of the pieces of your angler's outfit to turn it into the Spirit Angler outfit. And I think it looks really cool. I really like.
Amazing, yeah.
Yeah, it looks awesome, and
it's a complete design change. It's not like a recolored version of the old angler's outfit. It's got like a headband instead of a fishing cap, stuff like that, and it's blue and white themed.
Yeah, exactly. It's what the Prospector recolor should have been like as well. They should, instead of just recoloring it gold, they should have really made it a whole new theme.
You're right,
but
made it a whole.
Whatever.
And I like this idea of upgrading outfits. It's kind of cool. More cosmetic stuff that we like to see. It has a good use, the Spirit Angler's outfit, like an upgrade as well.
Does it give you something?
Yeah. So when you wear the full set, it has a set bonus where it will act as a rope for tethering in the Tempoross minigame. Yeah, so you don't need to bring a rope with you.
Oh man, I did not even know that. That's awesome.
Which is why it's better than the Angler's outfit for specifically Tempoross. And then it's the same experience buff, 2.5% everywhere else. So it's definitely worth getting, and it looks great. So
yeah. Now I think the only problem, you can revert it for free, but the problem I think would be, like, let's say for, I guess, anyone, if there's a master clue step, I believe, where you need to have the full angler's outfit, which means you'll either need to go grind it out a second time, or
I think they're gonna make it so that it's either an angler or a Spirit Angler's outfit. Like both will work for the master clue step. That's my guess, because they did the same thing for like infernal axes for the master step and infernal pickaxes.
True. That makes sense.
I think it'll be fine.
Okay, that's fair. And I've seen people saying that they're hoping pieces of the angler outfits can get moved onto this table versus the fishing trawler, because that's no fun for anybody.
Yeah, like let's say you pay 1,200 or like you pay double, so like 2,400 just to get a piece of this outfit. Maybe would be kind of cool. So you pay double to just skip over the angler's outfit. I would be okay with that. Fishing trawler does suck.
Yeah, let's stop forcing people to do boring content when we can have better alternatives. If we're not going to rework fishing trawler, let's just. I'm okay with honestly, I'd be okay if we scrapped it at this point. It's not fun. But yeah, let's move on to the next reward because I know you teased it. It's the fishing barrel. It's a new item that you can store 28 raw fish of multiple species, and you can remove them from the barrel. Oh, you can remove the fish from the barrel at a bank, but you can also combine the fishing barrel with the fish sack, and the fish sack comes from I'm drawing a blank now. It's the mulch fishing on by Cabos Lowlands.
Aerial fishing.
Aerial fishing, yeah. So you get the fish sack from that. You can now combine them so that you can actually equip this barrel on your as a cape.
Interesting. I've seen a few people wearing it. It looks pretty funny. It's like the giant coffin.
Yeah, it looks sick. Yeah, the fish sack costs 1,000 mulch pearls from the aerial fishing. That's a lot of pearls. Yeah, that's a hefty grind right there. Yeah, it's an untradeable, and apparently it's fairly rare. If you have the barrel on your person during a PVM death below level 20, it will drop to the gravestone. If you suffer it above level 20 or PvP death, it will be destroyed, and all the items in it will be wiped. So that's probably a disclaimer there for the ultimate Iron Men who might be wanting one of these bad boys.
I don't think they can use it.
Oh, you don't think they can use it at all?
No, because you have to interface with the bank to use it, so...
Oh, see, okay, so because they compared it to the looting bag, I thought you could.
Well, they use looting bags. They don't use them at banks. Like they can't open banks, so ultimates have to die to get their stuff out of the looting bag.
And all the contents are kept. I wonder if it works the same way because you can store your fish into it.
Yeah, it probably does. It probably does. But why would you? You would have to die to get your raw fish out. You may as well just get more raw fish. It seems like zero use for ultimates.
Well, maybe...
Looting bag is different because it's like you're storing extra things in there, and then if you need them, you go in suicide, and then you can get a new looting bag and then fill it up with whatever you want, and leave the things out that you wanted out. Ultimate's like a whole different ball game. So we not too many people play it. There's a few in the CC, but yeah, I definitely know a lot about it just from watching like a lot of Mudkip, but.
I guess that's where you'll see if somebody's using you'll see this being used in YouTube videos for people who love consuming that sort of content. But in the same vein, though, the next reward is the tackle box, also untradeable. And instead of storing food, this allows you to store fishing equipment. So everything from your angler's outfits, your fishing rods to different baits.
Yeah, saving bank space. I like that.
Yeah, exactly. The next reward is the harpoon fish trophy. So there's a few different fish like this, like the big shark. I think I have that one, but they're pretty rare to get, but allows you to kind of make a what do you even want to call it? What do they call those things where you mount a fish onto like a plaque board and then you hang it on your
like a trophy head?
Yeah, I guess that's it. It's a trophy head. So anyways, you can do that in your player-owned house if you'd want to. It requires 66 construction. The next reward is the Tome of Water and the Soaked Pages, which is very similar to the Tome of Fire and the Burnt Pages. So it requires level 50 magic to equip. Water spells, they say, are weak compared to their fire alternatives, so the goal of this item is less about raw damage and more about the utility it provides. So it has the following perks. Unlimited water runes. Again, you need the Soaked Pages to charge it. Standard spellbook water, curse, and binding spell accuracy is increased by 20%, and standard spellbook water spell damage is increased by 20%. Might be kind of cool for some PKers who are going to bring this, who are telly blocking and entangling and all that stuff.
Yeah, it still pales in comparison to the Tome of Fire for raw damage, though.
Yeah,
so more of a utility thing. I was wondering if I had one, if I would use it anywhere. And potentially the only place that I would use it is maybe like because I don't have a Kodai. Kodai gives infinite water runes. Like maybe as an offhand at Theater of Blood, but it seems like seems pretty irrelevant.
Yeah, it's in the, I guess the price reflects on day one. It was selling for like 3 to 4 mil, and I think it's even dropped down to like 500K at this point.
Yeah, it's pretty cheap. So on an iron, it would probably be good early game because you don't have access to things like mud staffs, which is where any of the combination staffs.
Yeah.
So if you don't have a tome, then it's not bad, but it still is never going to be quite as useful as the tome is.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, not in its current state, anyways.
Yeah, so I guess it's there though, so that's pretty cool. Which, you know, we can only guess that we're going to be seeing a Tomb of Earth and a Tomb of Air at some point, or Tome of Earth, Tome of Air. See, this is what I'm talking about. I can't even speak anymore. I get words mixed up all the time.
You literally just said tomb, a Tomb of Earth. That's all tombs are tombs of Earth.
And finally, the very last reward we can talk about is the Tempoross pet. They have a Tempoross pet that you can get. And it's just a mini version of the boss, but I think it looks really cool.
It looks
neat.
like a ghost. I quite like the tiny Tempor.
So that's it for the Tempoross. I think as you mentioned, I think it's a lot of fun. I really enjoyed my time with it. It's super packed right now, so you can tell that a lot of people feel the same way. I think it all looks really cool.
Gets me excited about training fishing, a skill that I typically do not like.
Yeah.
It's very, fishing is the only reason I kind of enjoy it on my account is because I actually need fish like sharks. I can get like 45K per hour at fishing doing minnows. And that's useful because I get sharks. But I think I'm not even going to do that anymore. I'm just going to go right to Tempoross and have a good time there.
And I think that's a good call. And I think we need as many different alternatives to train skills like this as we can. I think every skill should have a fun way to train it.
Yeah, this is done for fishing what Sepulchre did for agility, but even more accessible because fishing is a more universally trained skill, I would say.
Yeah, definitely.
Like people do their rooftops and then they usually get out. The amount of people that I know that have multiple bills with 70 agility. I feel like I'm shouting out people 2 episodes in a row for their 3 bill banks. But I mean, realistically, as soon as you get Sarah unlocked, you don't really need agility for anything else, right? So unless you're maxing, what's the point?
There's a few things. I know, like Zalra, there's that shortcut. There's Cerberus.
Yeah, there's some niche stuff, right? But you can live without those.
Can you though? That's a good question. Because
I'd say 76 is about the most you need because then you can boost for the Cerb one and you have the Zalra one unlocked.
Yeah, true. And then of course you do need 90 for the diaries if we really want to get into diary unlocks. But
no, you need like 85, right? But a lot of you can go on and do all the PVM you ever want to do without doing the RD Elite diaries. It's not necessary.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Different kinds of content. But it's overall just fantastic update, and I can't wait to see what people are able to do with the boss because I already have seen where people have extended the phases to get more points and stuff like that with coordinated teamwork.
Right.
So
okay.
I'm sure as we figure out the mechanics of Tempoross and how it works, there's going to be tons of different options for how to defeat it coming up.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of tricks, and once you start digging into it, you're going to want to look them up. Now, so I'm really happy with this update. I think it's a lot of fun. I'm definitely going to be doing more of it because some of those rewards are going to be really cool to have. Now, if I can complain, I mean, I feel like we have to complain about something. That's just what we got to do. Is there anything about this that you had any gripes with?
I'm trying to think. Not really. Not really.
I had one. I think it's all great. Then I think the clouds that do the lightning, I think look so stupid.
Yeah, they're a little bit cartoony for sure.
They look like rocks, like they look like stone. And I get that Jagex is very limited in what they can do, but they kind of just move around as if they're NPCs and then they hit spots.
I think it's particularly weird because dark clouds like that would never be that low in the sky, so it's a little bit comical in a way.
Yeah, and they're not. I would expect them to be a little bit more transparent, maybe, but I guess I don't. Anyways, I looked at that and I was like, how do you create such great stuff and then you look at the clouds and sign off on that? Did they run out of? I feel like it was like Wednesday morning and they're like, So the Tempoross is going live today, and the guy's like, wait, no, I haven't even done the clouds yet. And they're like, okay, well, you know what? It's going live in 1 hour, so just put something together.
Yeah, I see what you mean, but I feel like it's just that way so that you can see it.
Yeah, maybe.
You got to remember like a mobile as well. I did a bunch of Tempoross on mobile, and it was very mobile friendly.
Yeah.
Besides me misclicking on the fish spots, it was really quite simple.
Yeah, nice. So that's my one gripe. It's just the consistency and quality. Come on, where is it? Everything else was fantastic, though. Happy with everything else. But let's move on from that because we've got one more thing to cover, which is the Easter update. Did you do this?
I did not. Notorious for doing these on time.
Me neither. I got so distracted.
Well, we'll have to touch on it next week then.
Yeah, well, definitely. I'm going to do it and touch on it next week. I've seen the reward. So spoiler alert, skip forward 30 seconds because the reward is... It's like a birthday cake door that you hold as if it's the Din's Bulwark. I think that's the reward, at least. I see people with that, so it's definitely got to come from it. So
it's the nerfed Din's Bulwark?
Oh, no.
Oh,
yeah, maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's not even the reward.
I should start bringing it to the wilderness then when I get one.
It's sick. It's amazing. So yeah, there's this week's update. Some great stuff there. And you know what? If you haven't done it yet, I definitely recommend checking it out because even if you have no desire to train fishing right now, it's fun. It's fun, and so many people are doing it right now that may as well jump in on the action. All right. So there's the update. We're gonna take a quick break. I want to start doing this thing where we take a little bit of a break. That's when we go to our little our supporter segment. So we're gonna take a quick break, and we'll be right back. All right, we're going to start doing these little near the end of show breaks where we talk about Patreon and Buy Me a Coffee. I used to call it the Grand Exchange. Maybe we'll still call it that. But, I wanted to do it a little bit differently. I know we're 169 episodes into the podcast, but we are still adapting and evolving and changing things up. It always felt a little bit awkward doing it mid-show, and I was like, you know what? We need to spice it up. We need to do it better. Let's throw in some music. And let's make this a little bit more... Is fun the right word? I don't know. So let's get into the nitty-gritty of this quick little segment. We've been doing this podcast for, it's been 4 years? 5 years in September. Can you believe it? That's crazy. And it's so much fun to do, and I love it. I love interacting with everyone I've met from the show. It's been amazing. Unfortunately, we do have some upkeep costs, some maintenance costs. I don't know what you want to call it, but there's fees when it comes to uploading the podcast. The more episodes we put out, the longer the episodes, the more expensive it is each month, and our supporters are what makes this easily done every single week. So thanks guys a lot. It truly means so much. It allows us to keep doing this every week with no financial stress, and it lets us to think beyond should I say beyond the podcast? What more? It makes us think, what more can we do with the show? Because as much as the weekly episodes are fun and I love doing them, it would be cool to kind of offer some more content to the people who want to listen to more RuneScape podcasts. So that's what I'm working on behind the scenes. And I'm hoping to bring that to some of our Patreon supporters and coffee supporters. Coffee supporters, is that it? Coffee suppliers. Maybe that's better. But yeah, you can keep an eye on Patreon. I'll probably do an update this week of an idea I have for some new content to come to the Patreon, and will come to our supporter pages. Anyways, if you want to get in on the action, you go to patreon.com/thewilderness-podcast. There's a few different tiers that you can support the show. Find whatever you're most comfortable with, honestly. If there's no obligation. We do bonus episodes every now and then. They do come out as early access on the Patreon feed, and then they come out on the public feed a few days afterwards. So take a look, and honestly, if you have any ideas of something that you would like to hear as some sort of bonus content, whatever it is, sometimes I have a hard idea of what is something that's worth to bring to the Patreon page. I have ideas, but sometimes is it worth it? It's hard to know, right? So yeah, let me know if you guys have any thoughts, or if there's anything that I start doing or have done in the past that you really like, let me know so I can make it maybe a more reoccurring thing. I just want to get that out of the way. And thank you to Mr. Green Paper for joining the Patreon crew this week. Thank you so much for your support. Each episode is brought to you by all of our supporters, but I like to pick out one of our supporters that has been around. I go by like the timeline. I just go down the list, and I dedicate this episode to them. So Fraser Devaney, that is you this week, our supporter of the week. Thank you so much for all of your support over the years. It's been amazing. But yeah, truly thanks to all of our past, present, and future supporters as well. Contribution is monumental. But hey, Patreon's not the only thing we got going. Sometimes you just want to do a one-time payment. You can do that at buymeacoffee.com. And thank you to Timbuktu25, Dr. Feelgood, or also known as Mistborn, and No Name Plug for buying me a coffee this week. If you're one of our Buy Me a Coffee supporters, I've been trying to figure out how I could bring out bonus content to give it to the people who have bought coffees. Unfortunately, it's a little bit more clunky. So please get in touch, and I can manually send out any extra stuff that we have coming out down the channels, I guess. Yeah. Okay. Cool, guys. Thanks so much for the support. Let's wrap this show up. All right. Now we did get some emails over the course of the past couple weeks. I think let's address them because now is the best time to do it. So we got our first email from That's Johnny T. And he says, I just want to thank you all for your time and effort for keeping me updated on all things old school RuneScape. And I have a question for the podcast. 1. If you had to choose between old school RuneScape alone with just NPCs and no multiplayer whatsoever, or playing normally but you can only level up one skill to 99 at a time, which one would you choose and why? So would you play old school RuneScape offline single player mode, or would you stick to one skill to 99 at a time? That's hard. That's tough. I know that if RuneScape ever closes down, I would definitely download a offline version of it so I could play by myself. That being said, I think the charm of this game is the social interaction. Yeah, I'd probably choose number 2. I think I would choose number 2 as well. So if I had to choose right now, if I opened up RuneScape and it said your account, you have to choose between number 1, solo, or number 2, one skill at a time, which one would you choose? I would choose the one skill at a time, but I could definitely see myself burning out before I ever made much progress. That's true. You know what? In reality, I would choose number 1. Like this game is fun. I'd play it as a single player game. It'd just be a very long single player game. What would be the first skill you choose if you had to do the 1 skill to 99 at a time? Like if this, and I know there are people that do that. I know. So I'm just a main, you're saying? Like I can just pick whatever skill I want? Like a sick version of me wants to say agility. But let's say I have like infinite money, I'd probably do something like crafting. If I had to, if I had to choose, I think I would start with fire making so that I could, because Summertodt is fun and that's a quick 99 fire making right there. And then I would go either range or mage so that I could do some PVM content. True, yeah. Yeah, that's And true. Then I would move to prayer. Yeah. I would do range and then I would go to prayer so I could grind out the bones and all that stuff so I could do prayer and then I could do... Do hit points count though? Yeah, they probably would. So then hit points would have to come after prayer. Hit points would have to be... How would you would have to train hit points through like... You would have to do that after... You could do range without hit points. Because you could get 99 range with a cannon. And then you would have to do hit points before you do any combat skill. You could do magic without training, but then you'd just be splashing. Oh, it'd be so boring. It'd be so boring. And the reality is it would be more fun doing the first one, and then you could just talk to your friends on the side. You just wouldn't get to do group content. Maybe you could do like LAN parties. If you think about it realistically, you don't really do group content for like hundreds of hours when you play this game. You need to put in a lot of hundreds of hours before you have like a decent account where you can have some money, you have some good skills, so you can finally do some group content. So yeah, the more I think about it, the more number 1 becomes my answer because I don't have the patience to deal with one skill at a time. Have you played what was the game? Is it Star Ocean? Have you ever I think it's called Star Ocean. Have you ever played that game? No, I've never heard of it. or maybe it's Phantasy Star. I think it's Phantasy Star is what I'm thinking of. And what you could do is you would play it. It's an offline game, but it's got like MMO elements of like grinding out your characters and grinding for items. But what you could do is you could take your memory card, go to a friend's house, put your memory card in, and then you would load up your character. They would load up their character, and you could go do dungeons and stuff together.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah, so that's what RuneScape could be. So yeah, anyways, I would probably do the second option, then I'd probably burn out before I made much progress. Or, now I could do fire making and then move to fishing because of Tempoross. Anyways,
exactly. Yeah, fishing would be a good one too.
You got to figure it out. And the second question was, this is a bonus one, he says, if you had to remove one skill from the game, which one would it be and why? I mean, right now I would say thieving because I'm stuck in that damn thieving grind and I hate it. But besides that,
thematically, fire making.
I was going to say fire making too. It's useless. It's kind of like a useless.
Personally, mining.
Yeah,
one of those two. But mining makes sense. Fire making doesn't really make sense as a skill.
Yeah, I agree.
Surely, when you know how to light a fire, you know how to light a fire. You know, there's some. I'm not saying there's not skill to it, but surely there isn't a progression of 1 to 99 like there would be with something like ranged or mining or whatever.
Yeah, so I agree with you. With the fire making would make the most sense to be taken out. So that's it. He says, Dills, thank you for everything. And Magpie and Heartless, thanks for adding to the show each week. It's very enjoyable. Magpie's not here, though, so...
Okay, he's off raking in money somewhere. Actually, no, he's just busy with real life, so we give him a break.
He's busy right now. I probably should have mentioned it. People are just like, what happened to him? He hasn't shown up. He's just been busy doing real life stuff. Kind of like how last... we were talking and he was like, oh, I feel so bad that I can't make it on and stuff. It's only a couple more weeks. And I was like, I had to take like 6 months off from this show, so
yeah, it's not a big deal. Yeah, we'll see him soon. It'd be nice once he gets through his busy part of life.
Definitely. So yeah, thanks Johnny T for sending that in. I actually haven't seen you in game in quite some time. Maybe our schedules just don't line up, but I remember I used to see you all the time in clan chat, so hopefully we see you soon. Let's move on to our next email, which is from Matt Koss. And he says, hey, Wildy boys, I've got another question for you. I remember he asked us where we would live in this game.
That's a great question.
So he says, what is the most beautiful location in old school RuneScape? And I hope this question can spark a great conversation on the show. Keep it up. I'm drilling over this new quasi-weekly release schedule. Best wishes for my POH. Love that. Matakos 1. And yeah, so most beautiful place in RuneScape.
That is very hard to say.
Yeah, there is a lot of great spots. I think the area where barbarian fishing is kind of nice. It's right on a hill. So you can really see a lot of the landscape. You got water, you got a waterfall. That place is pretty nice. There's that one area, the spirit. It's where the spirit trees got moved to in the
Hasidius?
No, it's the only way to get there is through a fairy ring teleport. And
the cosmic entity plane. Yeah,
maybe that's it.
Yeah, that place is kind of cool.
Yeah, there's a nice waterfall there. Xanaris is got a lot of nice colors. Xanaris, whatever you want to call it.
I personally really like the farming guild. It's one, and that area around there is one of my favorite areas in RuneScape for sure.
Yeah, that's a good one.
A lot of good memories in there. Kandarin Monastery area is pretty cool too. Like I just like RD as a whole. It's a cool city. So sort of in and around there is pretty sweet too. Yeah, there's lots of good choices.
I would even. I don't think I could. I think they're all cool for like different reasons. Because I would even say, I think, that bridge that goes over the volcano in the wilderness.
Oh yeah, that place is great.
That place looks really cool. Although, does that look beautiful? I guess beauty is subjective, but
in the eye of the beholder, right?
Yeah, that's right. I think Xanaris has like the most colorful stuff, and even Fossil Island. Damn, that mushroom.
You're right. Forest? Yeah, Fossil Island. I forgot about. That's possibly one of my favorite updates of all time in the game.
Yeah, I remember thinking it was a bit of a flop on release, but it's really grown on me.
On release, yeah, I could see how people thought that because there was no like end game stuff, but it filled so many niches. I think it's one of the best updates they've ever come out with.
It's tough, and I think a big problem is I really wish RuneScape had a skybox because the skybox makes areas look so different. Like when I play on mobile and it's just a black abyss. Whereas, I mean, you look at RuneScape 3, I don't like the character models, but damn, the environments look so nice sometimes.
Yeah, you're right. Do you play with Skybox on?
Yeah, of course. I actually wanted to play on OS Buddy because they have OpenGL.
Mm-hmm.
Back in the day when I was paying for OS Buddy Pro, I loved OpenGL, and I wanted to check it out to compare it to what RuneLite has, because I don't even remember what OpenGL looks like, but I remember thinking it looked so nice on OS Buddy. Now, unfortunately, you got to pay like $2 a month, but I can't wait for an HD client because I think RuneScape has so much potential, but where the areas would look so much nicer with a little bit more pizzazz in the graphics.
Yeah, makes sense.
It's tricky, but yeah, I think I have to go with Xanaris or Fossil Island. Those are both really cool ones.
Good choices.
Yeah, thanks for the email, Maticos1. Keep them coming. You got some great ones. Got some great questions. I love that. All right. Grizzly Wizard sent us an email saying, "Hey guys, I just got done listening to the most recent Wilderness podcast and I have some thoughts on why OSRS updates have slowed to a crawl lately. To make a long story short, I think we are seeing an unintended consequence of the polling system. I have some ideas about what may be happening and what Jagex can do to remedy this situation."
I see where he's coming from, like the polling system being in the way of developers. So if you come up with a cool idea, but then it's only going to get put into the game and your work's going to be rewarded if it passes a poll, can kind of just grind people into, oh, well, we're just not going to develop content because I don't want it to not pass. So like fear of failure, that kind of mindset. Is that what he's talking about?
It could be. So this is Grizzly. I'm going to have to follow up with you on Discord to get more information. But I think a big confusing part for us as a community is that Jagex has said a bunch that over the course of 2020 that they've hired so many new people to their team and everyone's working remote, so that the problem is like when they all move back into the offices, they don't know if they have the space for everyone now because the team has grown so much. And you would think with a bigger team, we're seeing more updates, but it almost feels like we're seeing less updates.
Well, it's just because of the whole COVID and transition to like work at home. Not every company did it as well. So I don't know. It's not
That's
easy.
fair.
So I'm not going to blame them for no content.
It sucks as the players that we get a little bit bored, and like Tempoross is great and all that stuff. Will that keep us content for long term? Not in the way that I think like a new raid would, but I think the problem as well is we didn't get a Rune Fest in 2020, so we don't have the roadmap that we normally had for each year. So we don't really, there's a lot of question marks for us. But it's the way she goes sometimes.
Yeah, I can also see them putting off announcing, like I'm almost certain they're working on a Raids 3. It seems very clear like that's what the community wants. And part of the way they've set up their system is they kind of have to listen to the community in order to get stuff passed. You know what I mean? Because likely whatever we want is what they should be working on. Not entirely, but we're a good we point them in the right direction as well as sort of help them along.
Yeah.
So obviously everyone kind of wants a Raids 3 right now, a lot of late game players. So it makes sense that that's something they're working on. But you don't want a situation where they announce, oh, Raids 3, it's going to be in the desert. It's like, we're all like hyped, like, yeah. And it doesn't come out for 2.5 years. Like
that's fair.
Group Iron Man or Mobile, they have a history of doing that. So I'm hoping that they're learning from their mistakes and they're just holding off on telling us until they're almost ready to release it.
Yeah, that's a very good point. There is, they do have the issue where if they announce something and then there's engine work that they didn't plan to be an issue, we go like, yeah, where the hell is Group Iron Man? Where the hell is the clan chat rework? And then, a year later, they're like, finally, here it is.
Like, how much more exciting would it be if they said, okay, Raids 3 is coming out in 6 weeks. Here's what it's going to look like. We all be like, oh, Mike, we just lose it, right?
Yeah, that's so true.
And I'd much rather that happen than them be like, Raids 3 is going to come out in 2022. I'd rather wait until January 2022 and get an announcement in like November than get one now and it come out at the same time. I'd be way more excited for it.
That could definitely be the route. Maybe they've got to have some sort of concepts together, and there's going to be a lot of work to get these bosses down because they have that RuneScape has that unique challenge where people are going to farm content thousands and thousands of times. So that it has to be fun after you've done it 1,000 times.
Yeah, and sure, they have to work on balancing rewards and stuff like that. But there's a lot that goes into making a high-end content like a raids. So
definitely. So Grizzly, thanks for that email. I'm definitely going to follow up because I want to hear your take on some of this stuff. And yeah, I mean, if I forget, I have terrible memory. You can always shoot me a message on Discord to elaborate as well. And we're going to move on to our next email. So this is from Jacob Schmitz. So he says, hey guys, just got done listening to my first episode, 168. Ooh, welcome to the show. That's cool to hear someone jumping into these like later episodes. There's a lot of we put these episodes out there and this feedback doesn't always make its way back to us. So it's very neat to hear somebody discovering the show 168 episodes in. Cuz if they're going to go back and listen, they're going to be like, where's Heartless? If they go back to episode 1 or 2.
Yeah, where's Magpies? Yeah. No doubt. No kidding.
That happened. So yeah, he said, I just started playing old school RuneScape last week when one of my buddies said that he wanted me to play. I was hesitant, but I hopped in. And wow, is it different than what I have played in the past? I don't want to say I'm having fun yet because I'm only level 500, but looking forward to PVMing in the future with my friend. I just got done with 15 barrels runs with him. We're still in the red for returns because he had to front prayer potions and sharks for me to survive. I guess my question would be, is there any bosses that I can do either by myself or with him? He's not max, but probably 80 to 90 in all stats in this low to mid game that I am in right now. I had a blast at Summertodt and got the torch and the hood in my first 2 drops playing it. That's pretty sick.
Well done.
Yeah. Did not really realize that it was a big deal until I saw the drop raids. Any other tips would be helpful. Love the one episode of the podcast I've listened to. I only understood like 25% of it, but both of your energies made it very enjoyable. Hopefully, I will continue to learn and grow in old school RuneScape. Thank you for the entertainment while I'm at work.
A good connection to that I have is I remember listening to you and Deegan when I first started playing old school, like right when I got back in, because I love podcasts. And I just didn't understand anything that you guys were talking about, and I wish you would explain it more. So I will try my best in the future to keep that in mind, to like explain when I do certain things. Like, but that's a good reminder for me. But yeah, it's good times.
It's also why I like these emails that be like, can you elaborate on blank or blank? Because I mean, every episode we can't re-explain what Chambers of Xeric is, but you never know when somebody listens to 168, even though we might have explained what Theater of Blood was in 167.
Right. So as far as like entry level bosses go, I think the best route into bossing is through range. So if you get a decent range level, you can pretty much tag along to any of the God Wars dungeons. So obviously Bandos being the easiest to group. If you have like 85 ranged, 70 defense, you could just wear some Blessed Hide with a blowpipe. And this is the great piece about the blowpipe being in the game. People like you that are just starting out will be able to join in on content and have a good time because of the power of that item. So if you're looking to group content, I would probably focus on getting 75 range, getting a blowpipe, getting maybe up to like 80, 85 range, and then you can start to tag. You and your friend can maybe duo some Bandos or like get a third person. That's a great boss. You basically just turn on your Protect from range and Eagle Eye and just smack it. There's not much to it.
Yeah, you go with your friend who's got the high stats who can tank for you.
Exactly.
And it's very simple for you, and it's like the best introduction to a boss, I think, because you get the tassets, you get the drop, like a tassets drop, and it's exciting no matter who you are. That's still you and your buddy there. That's a 15 mil split, or even with 10 people. It's
I think the three of us being like rich enfranchised players forget that tassets are, that's like getting a 25 mil 3-way split when your bank is worth like 3 mil is insane. You just tripled your bank value. That's the equivalent of like a later game player getting a Twisted Bow drop. Percentage wise for what it does to your bank, it's the same thing. So absolutely, those kind of bosses are really valuable.
Yeah, so I agree with you. I think Bandos is great.
I'm trying to think of solo bosses, stuff like Seracnus. If you had like base 70s, you could give that a little go. It'd give you a taste for bossing. Is it profitable?
You can even do that with friends too. It's not the most money, but still.
That's true. The thing that makes Bandos really, really exciting for like a player that's just getting into the game is that the big drops are just worth so much money. Like you've never seen a 25 mil drop before. So that's huge. But Barrows is kind of another thing that you can do. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's a little bit more consistent maybe.
And then I've talked to some people who are low levels and they just wanted to try bossing with maybe some of their other low level friends. King Black Dragon, it's in the wilderness a bit, so it's a little bit sketch, but it's still one of the more easier bosses.
And like another way, range will be good there. Range is going to be your best friend if you're working with a budget, because of it's just the power of the rune crossbow with special bolts and the power of the blowpipe in general. Yeah, they're going to be good at almost all bosses. So.
And I had a friend actually message me. He doesn't play too much RuneScape anymore, but he wanted to hop on. His membership was running out, and he was like, he's kind of a low level, 80 combat or something, and he wanted to do some bossing. And he's like, I only got 2 days of membership. What kind of bossing can we do? And I was like, let's go to Tempoross.
Heck yeah.
It just got released, so you can make some money off it. You know, the Dragon Harpoon is a drop from it. I don't know how rare it is, but that's a couple mil. You can't die, so you don't have to worry too much, and it's fun. It's very similar to Wintertodt. Are we missing any other?
I mean, I'm sure we're missing some, but you know, working towards cool quests as well. Like I know Dragon Slayer 2 takes a lot of quest points, but that's a really, really fun quest, one of the best in the game. You know, you chip away at barrels, gloves, kind of things like that are nice little goals as well to work on when you can't boss with your friends, because those are always going to be useful moving forward.
Definitely, yeah. That's a good call.
Yep, KBD, Bandos, and maybe Sarachnis. Those are some good choices.
Yeah. Eventually, once you start getting up there, the Dagannoth Kings with small group would be. It's pretty cool. It's pretty hectic when you're first starting out, but
especially if you can get a task, that'd be even better.
Oh yeah, you get a Dagannoth task.
Get a little bit of Slayer done.
Mm-hmm. There's a good starting point. But yeah, if you got, feel free to do a follow-up if you have more questions, because I love being able to talk about some of like the lower end content, because part of the problem is once we become a higher level, we don't encounter the low level content as much, and we tend to neglect talking about it.
True. Same for like Iron Man content. Like if you're ever curious about like specific paths or like goals or ideas or methods, I'm happy to answer questions on what I did or what I think of certain things. Yeah, definitely.
So thanks, Jacob, for the email.
Awesome. Good luck going forward too.
Yeah, let's hear some updates as it goes on. Or if you end up quitting, let us know how far you made it. Great stuff. All right, so there's the emails, and if you want to send us an email and whatever it is, give us your answer to some of the questions that were asked. What do you think is the most beautiful place? Would you play an offline RuneScape game? You can email us, thewilderness.podcast@gmail.com. If you want to hang out with us in game, Wild CC is the place to do that. If you want to come into our Discord, you can find it on Twitter @thewildernessRS, or you can find it in the show notes / the description. Heartless, anything you want to plug?
Nope. Come join us in the Discord.
All right, and you know I hate to do this twice in a row, but I gotta steal your thunder for a song of the week again.
No, okay, fine.
I know. This one was suggested by Chick, or also known as Sour Punani. And he has requested the song All's Fairy in Love and War. So this song is a music track unlocked at the Fairy Resistance Hideout during Fairy Tale Part 2, Cure of a Queen quest. The song's name is a pun on All is Fair in Love and War. And the instruments used are piano, piccolo, harp, and strings. Wicked. We're going to play that one as we get out of here. Anything you want to say before we sign off for the day?
Nope. Hope everyone has a good week.
Yes. Me as well. All right, guys, go enjoy some Tempoross. Go enjoy some bossing of whatever it is, and we'll catch you on the next one.
See ya.